A lovely and warm welcome. It's now time for the news on Hope Channel Zambia, television that changes lives. We do sincerely apologize for bringing the news this late. This was in order for us to facilitate the live broadcast of the Lusaka Central Week of Prayer being presided over by Dr. Chiwena Kavanje. Let's take a look at stories making headlines in our news today. Exploitation, abuse and harassment is described as a threat to equal opportunities in workplaces. Zaford calls for the ratification of the African Disability Protocol. The Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, has arrested over 3,000 people countrywide in the 3 quarters of the year 2023 for drug-related offenses. And in religious news, about 120 people at Eden University Church obtained TruthLink diplomas after successive completion of the studies. These stories plus more coming up in a moment. To stay with us.
Are you ready to unlock a world of opportunities? Look no further than Wansanje Travel and Tourism Institute. At Wansanje, we offer a passport to international recognition through a wide range of courses in various fields. Choose from our courses in travel and tourism, business administration, hospitality management, computer science and cybersecurity, entrepreneurship, food production, electrical, graphic designing, computer studies, and many more. With our expert faculty and state-of-the-art facilities, you will gain the skills you need to excel in your chosen field. For further inquiries, call us on 0211-220-286 or 0977-603389 or visit us in person at Kenneth Kaunda House, Cairo Road, next to the Bank of Zambia. You can also reach out to us via email at wtticollege@gmail.com. Wansanje Travel and Tourism Institute is registered with the VETA and ICM, ensuring the high standards of education and recognition. Don't wait. Come and excel with us today at Wansanje Travel and Tourism Institute.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Bright SINKOZI with the details. George KALIMUKWA is our sign language interpreter. Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, Zakaria Luhanga, says sexual exploitation, abuse and harassment is available in workplaces. Mr. Luhanga says sexual exploitation, abuse and harassment, abbreviated SIA, is a threat to equal opportunities, health and safety in a work environment. He was speaking at the official opening of a training on prevention of sexual exploitation, abuse and harassment in the workplace in Lusaka today. The workshop is being facilitated by an organization called Natwampane, a European Union funded program. Mr. Luhanga added that SIA is a detrimental vice to individuals and organizations' productivity because the key driver, which is human resource, is negatively affected in the long run, thereby affecting economic growth.
Abuse and harassment in the world of work deprives people of their dignity, is incompatible with decent work, a threat to equal opportunities and to safe, health and productive work environment. Sexual exploitation, abuse and harassment in the workplace are detrimental vices to the individual and institutions' productivity. Government, employers and employees must all play a role in the prevention of these vices. Interventions in the prevention of this vice include the scaling up of awareness raising to key stakeholders such as employers, employees, law enforcers, civil society organizations, faith-based organizations, and non-governmental organizations. You may wish to note that the Employment Code Act number 3 of 2019 has included a requirement for employers to provide for harassment policies to ensure that harassment matters are addressed comprehensively.
The Zambia Federation of Disability Organization, ZAFOD, has called for the ratification of the African Disability Protocol. ZAFOD Programs Manager Mishek Katongo says the ratification of the Disability Protocol will lead to the mainstream of disability rights around the world and create more awareness. Mr. Katongo has called for the support in the participation of persons with disability in governance and national development through legal provisions. He has further called for capacity building, inclusiveness, and participatory of persons with disability in society. Mr. Katongo says despite the strides made so far, Zambia has continued to grapple with provision of affordable assistive technologies that are critical to effective inclusion and full participation of persons with disability.
As you may be aware, ZAFOD is the mother body of the disability movement, or the umbrella federation that houses affiliated organizations of persons with disabilities. Our realization that the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities is a global perspective of disability inclusion. And so there has been a conversation in Africa that the UNCRPD does not speak to our African context. For example, the UNCRPD is silent on albinism, on issues of witchcraft as disability is perceived in Africa, on issues of poverty synonymous to disability, because it's a global document, so it looks at disability from a global perspective. But the African Disability Protocol, which we are championing now as the disability movement in Zambia, to have it ratified by the Zambian government, is the Africanization of the UNCRPD. It borrows the concepts from the UNCRPD, but brings them down to our African experience. You may be aware that in Zambia, a child who is born with a disability is not a priority for education. In Zambia, when a woman gives birth to a child with a disability, they are either divorced or the husband runs away, leaving the woman to try and take care of the child alone. You realize that in Zambia and in Africa in general, disability is perceived to be either a case of God or a product of witchcraft. And this strong lobbying to stakeholders to have Zambia ratify the African Disability Protocol, we feel it will speak to our quest, our desire to see an inclusive Zambian society. And the information we have as at now is that about 7-8 countries in Africa have already ratified. So if Zambia is added, then we'll be looking at fewer countries to complete the minimum requirement for the protocol to go into force.
Government says it is doing everything possible to ensure that provincial officers are provided with necessary equipment and tools for them to reach out to communities they are mandated to serve. Speaking when flagging off the distribution of motor vehicles to provincial officers, Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development, Elias Mubanga, said government remains committed to providing necessary tools for provincial officers. He has advised provincial officers to work closely with small-scale farmers as it will contribute more to food security, having been given mobility tools. Meanwhile, Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise Development Permanent Secretary Subeta Motelo has advised provincial officers not to misuse the vehicles received, but use them for the intended purposes.
The Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise has a mandate of providing an enabling environment that promotes cooperative development. Today, the Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development, Honorable Elias Mubanga, handed over 10 vehicles to provincial officers. The vehicles have been distributed to address the mobility challenges in districts and provincial offices. Speaking during the handover ceremony, the minister advised provincial officers to use the vehicles to work closely with small-scale farmers as they are part of the ministry.
Extremely committed as government to make sure that we provide the necessary tools and equipment our officers require. And soon even office equipment and furnitures will be distributed to the provinces and districts.
Meanwhile, the ministry's permanent secretary, Subeta Motelo, has advised provincial officers not to misuse the vehicles but only to use them for intended purposes.
Provincial officers, let me take this opportunity to applaud you for the services you have rendered thus far. However, I wish to remind you that the motor vehicles you will receive today should be used for the intended purpose, as it has been observed that you could not adequately perform some of your duties due to lack of transport. This time around, the ministry has provided transport for you, and that means the ministry will not accept any excuses for not executing your duties efficiently and effectively.
The vehicles distributed will help end mobility challenges and will help execute duties. Louisa Smonga reporting for Hope News in Lusaka.
We continue with the news. The Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, says in the 3 quarters of 2023, it has arrested over 3,000 people countrywide for drug-related offenses. Speaking during a press briefing, DEC Director General Nason Banda disclosed that of those arrested during the period under review, 2,960 were Zambian males, 187 were Zambian females, and 62 were foreign male nationals, while 5 were foreign female nationals. Mr. Banda said also arrested during the same period were 184 male juveniles and 8 female juveniles. He said the arrests resulted from 3,609 reports received in the period under review, of which 2,770 cases were investigated, of which 2,192 were concluded and submitted to National Prosecution Authority, NPA, for action. Mr. Banda, however, said the commission is worried of delayed court proceedings and has since called for expedience in the legal proceedings.
Not totally because of us, but because of sometimes the other areas where we take the cases, there are all sorts of other challenges that are faced. In terms of drug-related offenses, the Commission arrested a total of 3,214 persons in this period, which is the 3 quarters of 2023, comprising 2,960 Zambian males, 187 Zambian females, and foreign nationals were 62 males and 5 females. Of the 3,214 persons arrested, ladies and gentlemen, 184 were juvenile males and 8 were female juveniles. We'll perhaps come back to this point. The arrests mentioned resulted from a total of 3,609 intelligence reports received in the period under review, out of which 2,770 cases, representing 76.8%, were investigated. Out of those investigated, 2,192 cases, 79.1% were concluded and submitted to NPA for action. At the end of the 3rd quarter, 1,637 cases were pending in court, and 513 cases were closed with convictions, and 71 concluded by the courts of law under other circumstances. Further, 10 cases recorded acquittals in this period under review. So 10 cases for which we had acquittals.
You are watching the news on Hope Channel Zambia just now. Let's take a break. More stories still to come.
There is nothing quite like the thrill of catching your own fish. And at Papino Investments, we bring that experience to you. Papino Investments, the home of live fish, has everything you need to make your meals unforgettable.
It has a different taste, and that is why I enjoy coming to this place.
From live fish that you can catch for yourself to smoked fish, just chickens and beef, we have a wide range of products that will satisfy your shopping needs. And if you're looking for something else, we have a wide range of groceries to choose from, including Hope Channel decorders. At Papino Investments, payment is easy. You can pay with cash or use our mobile money services. Visit us today at Robert's Fish and Veggies Building, Chilenja Market, Lusaka, or call us at 0955 108708 or 0976 543822 or 0965 691909. Papino Investments, the home of live fish.
Thank you so much for still staying with us. And now for the rest of the news. Opposition Socialist Party SP says it is disappointed by President Hakainde Hichilema's failure to live up to his campaign promises made to the Zambian people prior to the 2021 general elections, when he promised to better the living standards of citizens. Speaking at a media briefing, Socialist Party Youth League General Secretary Gabriel Banda said President Hichilema made a number of promises to the Zambian youths but failed to honor the promises, which include handing over the Black Mountain in Kitwe to the young people. Meanwhile, Mr. Banda has condemned the misconduct of UPND Deputy National Youth Chairman for Politics and Mobilization, Trevor Mwinde, for issuing inappropriate words when addressing the former head of state, Mr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu. And Socialist Party Youth League spokesperson Stanley Mubasa said Zambians will not get finances from the mining sector if the government continues to leave the mines in the hands of foreigners. Mubasa said the mines should be left in the hands of Zambians instead.
Socialist Party Youth League General Secretary Gabriel Banda has reminded President Hakainde Hichilema to live up to his campaign promises.
The UPND government promised the youths in Kabwe to give them that Black Mountain. Has that been done? The answer is no. Your Excellency, you have started a war with the millers. Why? Because we have seen a situation where ZNS milling is faring at 208 kwacha. Yet the millers, National Milling, Bongo Milling, all these milling companies are selling their milling meal at 295, 304. Who will be injured at the end of the day? It's a Zambian youth.
Mr. Banda has also issued a warning to UPND Deputy National Youth Chairman Trevor Mwinde to respect former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu.
Trevor Mwinde, you are our age mates. You are not age mates with the former Republican President, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu. He is a leader of the ruling party. You should have respect. Emulate your chairman, Comrade Gilbert Liswaniso. Have you ever heard him insult ECL? It's a shame that you stoop so low to insult someone who is older than your own father. Trevor Mwinde, are you going to allow me, Gabriel Banda, to insult President Hakainde Hichilema when he becomes former president? Are you going to allow me to go on social media to say Echinga Kuponona? Nga ulefa yo kuponona ECL. You should start with us. Uke soka tuponone ifwe.
Party Youth League spokesperson Stanley Movasa said the mining sector in the hands of foreigners cannot provide enough finances for Zambia's economy.
To continue keeping our mining firms in the hands of the foreigners, we will not gain enough resources out of there, will not get enough money out of there to fund and finance key sectors of our economy, and also the social sector. We know to say this has been happening for too long. The position is that we think that going forward, the Zambians must be allowed to own the mines themselves.
Mr. Movasa said the economic hardships have left most families with only one decent meal for a day.
Our civil servants, the same police officers, they can no longer afford KHH for 10 kwacha. They are also feeding on mapamela. This kapamela is worth 10 kwacha. Now imagine this is a police officer or a civil servant denied an opportunity to allowances, which they are supposed to be entitled to. But simply because somebody wants to portray that they are good at management, which they have failed, they deny them allowances. Our people cannot go and buy kapamela. Our people in the markets can no longer afford this kapamela. Most of our people today, their families are more than 5 per household. Tell me, how many of you here, how many of you are able to feed in this kapamela, in this harsh economy?
Reporting for Hope TV News, Joyce Mukoma.
And in religious news, Eden University Church graduated 120 students this past Sabbath with VOP or TruthLink diplomas. The students, who are mostly non-Adventists, were excited to receive their diploma certificates. Eden University Adventist Church pastor Paul Mwila, speaking when he awarded the graduates with diploma certificates, encouraged them to go and shine for Jesus and be light to the world. Pastor Mwila said the diplomas would benefit them even as they leave the university, because they are a proof that they are well-read Christians who are working towards transformation. And Eden University Dean for Women, Pastor Lina Chatambudza, who also is responsible for the spiritual welfare of the female students at the university, described the graduation as a success and was looking forward to another one coming next year. Of the 120 graduates, 117 were females and only 3 were males.
We have graduated about 120 students, and some are female, some are male. And we teach these students when they come at Eden University the Bible, Truth, or the Voice of Prophecy lessons, so that as they begin the semester, they are guided into the university life through the lessons that they learn, and they are also guided into the doctrines of the church and the lessons of the church. And as the semester progresses, some of them get to be baptized. And so we have brought forth these sheaves into the Lord's fold so that they can also join in. Most of them have testified that these lessons have really been of a blessing to them. And so next semester, as we begin, we are going to do better, we're going to graduate more, and we are going to spread the gospel.
We are excited as we are celebrating another set of students that have just graduated with and This is the second graduation that we've had this year. And just today we've graduated 120 students that have completed their studies in TruthLink. And so we are happy as a university because we know that the gospel of God is being spread widely. And 3/4 of these graduates are non-Adventist, which means wherever they go, they'll brighten the corner.
This graduation is so unique because most of them are not of our faith. They are not Adventist. That makes us understand that the message has gone further, a step forward. And we know that they are not going to end here. they are going to share with others.
We're here at Eden University and one of the graduates for Truthly 2023 intake. We're so happy and we're proud of ourselves that we've achieved these diplomas. Looking forward to having a degree in Truthly. Thank you.
Just now we give you a roundup of some of the news making rounds across the country in brief. And about 17 Patriotic Front, PF and independent members of parliament have been suspended from parliament for 30 days. Speaker of the National Assembly Nelly Muti suspended the MPs for gross misconduct. And finally, 3 men of Chalimbana have been arrested for allegedly raping a 19-year-old woman of Silver Rest area in Chongwe district. Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga said 3 men identified as Blackson Lungu, aged 25, Alan Jere, aged 23, and Aswell Omwale, aged 22, all of Silver Rest, went to the victim's house and started throwing stones on the roof while shouting and making noise. Mr. Hamonga said when the victim's husband decided to go and check on what was going on outside, the trio started beating him up and robbed him of his phone in the process. Thank you so much for joining us. We take another look at stories that made headlines even as we conclude the bulletin. Sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment are said to be a threat to equal opportunities in workplaces. Zaford calls for the ratification of the African Disability Protocol. The Drug Enforcement Commission says in the 3 quarters of the year 2023, it has arrested over 3,000 people across the country for drug-related offenses. And in our religious news, 120 students from Eden University, who mainly are not even members of Eden University Adventist Church, graduated after completing their study in TruthLink, and they go home with diplomas in that particular area of study. Thank you so much for having joined us on the news desk. We're back tomorrow at the same time with another bulletin. I'm Bright SINKOZI on behalf of the entire studio and production team. George KALIMUKWA is our sign language interpreter. God bless and keep watching Hope Channel Zambia, television that changes lives. Bye for now.